But Miracle on 34th Street, did Disney make this movie?
No.
No, they did not. So why are we talking about it?
Because it's on Disney Plus.
Why is it on Disney Plus, though?
Because isn't it 20th Century Fox?
That's right. So the film was distributed by 20th Century Fox, not Disney.
Yay, passed.
You did a very good job. In 2017, November 2017, the Walt Disney Company is in negotiations with Rupert Murdoch to acquire 21st Century Fox. That includes their film, cable, direct broadcast, everything, 20th Century Fox. Nat Geo is also part of that as well, and that's why you can find Nat Geo on there. The deal is finalized in 2019, and as a result, Disney now owns all these properties, and it's the reason why you can find it on their platform, like Miracle on 34th Street. And also you can find, like, The Simpsons, they're on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
X-Men movies, Bob's Burgers, I think is on there too, maybe, or it's on Hulu,
it's on Hulu,
which Disney also owns. So that's why. And with that out of the way, let's talk about Miracle on 34th Street. So, even though it's a Christmas movie, and even though we're reviewing it in August, this movie did not come out in November or December. It came out in June.
Really?
There's a reason for that, too. It's because the studio head, Daryl Zanuck, insisted that it be released in June because in his mind, he argued that more people go to the movies during the summer than they do around the holidays.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's... I mean, I understand... I don't know. I feel like more people go in the wintertime. Maybe not around the holidays because they're busy doing stuff for the holidays.
Well, I think in the wintertime, I think people are more likely to go around the holidays than just like a random week in like, I don't know, November.
Well, I feel like people are more likely to go in like the wintry months because it's colder out and there's not as much outside stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no beach, there's no barbecues or stuff like that.
Yeah, so like what are you going to do on a Friday night? You're going to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't the original plan they had set out when they started making this movie. So the studio had to scramble to promote it before it even came out with... they had to scramble to promote it before it came out while keeping the fact that it was a Christmas movie a secret. So that's why I think you get the title like Miracle on 34th Street, because it doesn't directly say anything Christmas related in the title.
I guess.
I mean, I get now in hindsight we know like what the movie is, so it's kind of hard, but I guess back then maybe it was a little more...
Yeah.
That's weird. I would be curious to see like the advertisements and stuff for it.
Even in the UK, it's released with a different title. It's called The Big Heart. That's all it's called. And that could just be about anything, really. Movie was shot on location in New York City with the Thanksgiving Day Parade scenes also being filmed live during the 1946 parade.
Oh, that's interesting.
And, yeah, in fact, the film was shot during a particularly cold New York winter. So when they're doing a lot of these outdoor scenes, it's freezing outside. And the camera actually froze a couple times, too.
That's funny.
While filming. The shots inside Macy's on 34th Street were filmed on location in New York City at their flagship store on 34th Street as well. And you pointed this out, too. That's why a lot of the background actors... They're not background actors.
They're real shoppers?
They're just people shopping in the store.
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
And you can see in some shots, like I remember seeing, there's the shot where, we're getting ahead, but when Kris Kringle gets into the car to be brought to Bellevue, there are people in the background that are just like watching to see what's going on because they know that they're filming something.
Right.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I totally missed that. Yeah. I want to go back and look now.
A main focus of the film is the competing nature between two giant department stores, Macy's and Gimbel's.
Yeah. Poor Gimbel's.
Poor Gimbel's, R.I.P. Both wanted to see the finished film before they gave any kind of approval on, to use their likeness.
Did they screw Gimbel's over?
They didn't use Gimbel. They didn't screw him over, but if either side had refused the final product and they didn't like the way they were portrayed, they had to go back and reshoot the film.
Oh my god, yeah,
that would have killed their budget. They would have just scrapped it probably.
And they're already on a tight deadline that we want this movie out in June.
Wow.
So they had one shot at this kind of, and luckily for them, it passed both sides.
That's good.
Both sides were happy with the way they were displayed in the final product.
I feel like that's kind of surprising for Gimbel's, but
I don't know. They weren't really. I don't think they portrayed Gimbel's in a poor light.
No, they didn't. But I just feel like it was obviously very Macy centric. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Macy's, obviously, everybody still knows Macy's. They're pretty popular. They're still around. Gimbel's, on the other hand, is not around anymore.
When did they go out of business?
They went
out of 87?
Very good. Yeah, very good. 1987. They were pretty popular in the...
That's recent.
Why did I think it was like 2 years ago?
I don't know. Have you ever been to a Gimbel's?
Maybe I'm thinking of FAO Schwartz.
Maybe.
But they're back.
They are?
They've been back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can go to FAO Schwartz.
I thought they...
They did close.
What's another Toys
R Us?
No, not Toys R Us. There's another, like...
Was it KB Toys?
No. It was like a big... I think it's FAO. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, carry on.
FYE?
No. not FAO.
Mattel?
No.
But yeah, Gimbals was primarily Macy's biggest competitor in like the 50s and 60s, and at one point they had the largest sales revenue of any department store chain in the world.
Yeah.
They would eventually shut down in 1987, like we said, after being acquired by the American subsidiary of the British American Tobacco is who bought them. They also owned Marshalls, Kohl's, and Frederick and Nielsen. And they eventually decided that Gimbals just didn't have any more profit in them, and they were just a marginal performer, so they just decided to shut the division down in 1987.
Rude.
Yeah. But Kohl's is still around.
Yeah,
If
so is
you like
Marshalls.
Kohl's.
Yep. Got great ice cream. Just kidding.
How did this summer Christmas movie perform? It was received mostly positive by critics. Some even noted that the movie is for those who have grown kind of cynical on Christmas and Santa, or New York for that matter. It would kind of change your heart on them.
Stupid New York.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love New York.
It's considered to be one of the best films of 1947 and universally dubbed a Christmas classic. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds an approval rating of 96% among critics and 87% among audiences. And most people point to the heartwarming nature of the film and praise the performance of Edmund Gwynn, who is the Kris Kringle, who's Santa Claus, which I would agree with that, I think.
Yeah.
The movie, I think, largely lives and dies with him.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Totally.
If you don't have a good Santa in your Christmas
Then
movie...
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Then you ain't got a Christmas movie.
That's right.
At the 1947 Academy Awards, it took home Best Screenplay, Best Writing, and Best Supporting Actor, which was won by Edmund Gwynn, which I think is weird, like, that he's the supporting actor in this film. Like
He is?
He's listed as supporting actor, and, like, in the credits, he's, like, I think listed third behind Doris and fake Jimmy Stewart that they got.
Oh.
Jimmy Stewart.
But yeah, so he won Best Supporting Actor, and he famously said in his acceptance speech, now he knows that there really is a Santa Claus. So it would also be nominated for Best Picture that year, but ultimately lost to Gentleman's Agreement, which was another 20th Century Fox film starring Gregory Peck. So 3 out of 4 it took.
Okay.
Was it competing against any... I don't know if you'd know this, but I'm curious to know. Was it competing against any current Walt Disney films?
Definitely not in Best Picture or anything like that. During those Academy Awards, they might have had something nominated for, like, Best Animation. We might get to
It would be
with
interesting
our
to
next
know.
one, maybe. I don't know.
There was Best Short Subject in 1947 for Pluto's Blue Note. I guess it's a
Sounds like it. Yeah, it's a short. We don't like those.
Yeah, I don't
Dead to us.
think that they won either.
Did anyone else get another Christmas movie vibe from this film? Like a different one?
I'm not big with... I don't really know a lot of movies.
How about you over here?
Did it give me a Christmas vibe?
Like another Christmas movie.
Like Christmas with the Cranks or something.
I feel like it was really similar to It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
it
know
is.
that
But that
movie.
also came out like
6 months prior to this film.
so-
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. These films came out 6 months apart, and in my mind, they feel like very similar. Like there's a guy who is Fred Gailey.
The same names?
Well, no,
No.
there's Fred Gailey in Miracle on 34th Street, while the main character in It's a Wonderful Life is George Bailey.
Oh.
The guy that they got to play Fred Gailey looks like a poor man's Jimmy
It
Stewart.
does. It looks like George Bailey a lot.
And both films are like a man battling capitalism, kind of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like just like battling the law, kind of.
It's a
almost.
Christmas movie as well?
Yeah.
You never saw It's a Wonderful Life?
No.
I kind of wish we reviewed that because that was really
Was that
that's
not,
a good one.
Is that not on Disney Plus?
No.
No, but it's a really good movie. You would love it.
That's a Universal film. It's on Peacock.
Curse.
You never saw it, really?
Really? I'm not a big movie person.
I think
I never saw this movie. This was the first time I ever watched this movie.
if you liked
But I feel like It's a Wonderful Life is way more famous than this movie.
this movie, I feel like you would also like It's a Wonderful Life. They're
You
very,
will
very
like
similar.
you will like It's a Wonderful Life. You will. It's like a very feel good story. You will like
Yeah.
it.
I'll watch it.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Exactly. I don't have a bell, but I would. Yeah, I'll put a little bell noise here. And finally, a remake of this was made in 1994, starring Richard Attenborough, who was from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I forget what's his character's name in Jurassic Park. The doctor.
You mean
The old guy.
oh, like the guy who made it?
Yeah. What's his name? Well, anyway, him.
It's you don't even give me a chance. My God, it's something with an H.
Don't look at me.
Hammond.
John
Yeah.
Hammond.
Dr. Hammond, that's right.
Yeah.
Richard Attenborough from
Isn't
Jurassic
it? Wait,
Park.
are you saying Attenberg?
Attenborough.
You're saying Attenberg.
Richard Attenborough from Jurassic Park, who
Okay.
plays.
What's his name? Hammond. John Hammond.
Here's an easier name, and Mara Wilson, who is Matilda.
Yeah.
She plays Susie.
Yeah.
Biggest difference between the two films is that Macy's refused to give permission this time around, citing that they felt that the original stands on its own and could not be improved upon.
Okay.
So they were
That's fair.
They were replaced by Coles, but
That's stupid.
but not that Coles. COLE''S.
Oh.
Yeah, and since Gimbals is no longer in existence, they were replaced by the fictional Shoppers Express.
Interesting.
This is getting better and better.
They should use like J.C. Penney and Sears or
Right?
something.
Yeah, like what the heck?
I've never seen this one, but apparently the film has a more serious tone. A larger portion of the plot was rewritten and added a subtext which describes concerns about like religious faith.
Oh. We're going to be watching that one in like 50 years, right?
Yeah, well-
Because it's coming up in the... When did that one come out?
97.
1994.
Oh, you just said 97.
I said 94.
No, you didn't.
Well, we're on tape, so I'll know if I said 94 or
Check
7.
the tape.
This version received mixed reviews from TV Guide, calling it, quote, curiously depressing.
This one?
This one. No, not the one we watched. The remake one.
Okay.
You okay?
I'm still stuck on the 97 thing.
I'm pretty
Do
sure
we
I
have
said...
to pause it and check right now?
I'm pretty sure I said 94. Well, let's just go with I said 94. Miracle on 34th Street. An elderly gentleman named Kris Kringle creates a stir when he's hired as Macy's in-store Santa Claus for the holiday season.
Yeah, but wait, you're going to describe how he gets hired, right?
You're not going to talk about the drunk man in the beginning of the parade?
Yeah.
That's just the summary on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a little synopsis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Released on June 11th, 1947, rated PG with a runtime on Disney Plus of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 2 seconds. Directed by George Seaton, produced by William Perlberg, distributed by 20th Century Fox, starring Maureen O'Hara, John Payne, Edmund Gwynn, and Natalie Wood.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. We'll get to her. Yeah, I'll tell you about her.
Yeah, I'll learn.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
It is
Oh my
sad.
God.
Yeah, and a little weird, too, on top of that.
Wait, who was that?
That's
a kid.
Susie.
Oh, you know what? My mom said something because I told my mom yesterday that I watched this movie and I was like, Mom, why did you never make me watch this movie? And she was like, oh, it's such a good movie. Oh, it's so sad what happened to the little girl. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, yeah, with the house. I'm like, Mom, I still have 30 minutes left to watch. You spoiled it. And she was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then I changed the subject, so I don't know what she was talking about, but...
Well, I'll just put your mind at ease. She doesn't die as a child.
Okay.
No, much later.
But not much later.
Well-
She's young when she dies. Like, way
Yeah.
too young. And her death is kind of tragic.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
We open up with our opening credits on screen as we follow behind a man with a top hat and a cane walking the streets of New York City.
Santa!
We don't know that yet. This is our main character for the movie. It's Kris Kringle.
Santa!
I know him.
As mentioned, this is Edmund Gwynn. This is probably his most famous role, but he would also appear in other movies such as Mr. 880, The Trouble with Harry, and the 1940 version of Pride and Prejudice. Mm-hmm. You knew that?
I've seen every Pride and Prejudice
But you knew this was
ever
him?
made. Yeah.
Who is he?
Oh, don't ask me things like that.
Does he play Santa in all these movies?
He's Santa in Pride and Prejudice.
No, does he play Mr. Bennett?
Ah, very
Yeah.
good, Mr. Bennett.
I've seen every Pride and Prejudice ever made multiple times.
I've seen 0 of them.
Oh my
Quick,
god.
which one's your favorite?
The Keira Knightley version is my favorite.
Mm.
But that's because the Mr. Darcy's so cute.
No, I know.
He is, and I like the Mr. Bingley in that one too. He
Oh,
has a
he's
little
so cute,
ginger.
By all accounts from the cast and crew, Edmund Gwynn was beloved by everybody, remarking that he was always happy, smiling with a twinkle in his eye. And Maureen O'Hara even said that halfway through shooting, he really felt like Santa Claus, and like they were like believing that this was Santa Claus.
Because
like,
he is Santa Claus.
Naturally suited for the role. After the...
You know who we thought would make a really good Santa one day when we all like have kids and stuff?
Who?
Michael.
Oh yeah.
Michael.
With his blue eyes and stuff.
Yeah,
he needs a bellowing voice.
He needs a gray beard.
Yeah.
After the credits stop, he walks up to a window of a store where inside a worker is setting up Christmas decorations in the display.
The reindeer.
It was on Thanksgiving Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is Thanksgiving Day.
I know.
Why
is that guy there?
Why is he?
And he says the store's closed.
Yeah.
But then he's still there.
Somebody's got to put him up.
I mean, maybe he's getting
Disney?
ready for Black Friday.
Was that a thing then?
I don't know.
Hey, Disney World, the workers are working on holidays.
Okay. This is like
This is
mom and pop store.
Yeah, like what are you talking
Yeah, this
about?
is like a mom and pop shop
Yeah.
on.
Well, he's placing reindeer for Santa's sleigh in the window, but Kris Kringle informs him that he has placed them all wrong and out of order. And the worker could care less about this, and he kind of just shoos him away, like, okay, thank you.
And he said, I think Comet has like 4 antlers, not 3 or some shit like that. And he's like, but you wouldn't know that. And it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't.
There's
You're
really
right.
nothing between any of them distinguishing them. They all look exactly the same.
Except Rudolph, who's not technically part of this because he is not the property. He's like private property of whoever made that.
You know what's interesting about that, too? When, later on, when Doris is looking at his employment card, and he's got his next of kin listed there, I was like, why doesn't he list Rudolph? He lists all the other
I
ones.
took a picture of that.
Yeah. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, because Rudolph is intellectual property. Also, I don't know what year that came out, so I don't know if that's even a thing yet.
That's true. That could have been after this.
I feel like it might have been. I'm not sure.
I didn't even think about that throughout this whole thing, that like Rudolph just doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
I don't think he came out yet. I think he came out in the 50s.
Okay.
Oh, I took a picture of that. Of his employment card because I wanted to Google his address.
We did that too.
It doesn't exist though.
No, it doesn't. Neither does the name of the place.
That was the
Yeah.
first thing I
Yeah.
paused. I was like, look it up. Kris Kringle then hears jingle bells off in the distance and walks off to see where it's coming from. It's coming from Macy's annual Thanksgiving Day parade. We then meet Doris Walker, who is behind the scenes of the parade, directing people on where they're supposed to be. Doris is played by Maureen O'Hara, most notably from The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1939, The Quiet Man, and The Parent Trap in 1961. Mm-hmm. She's interrupted by Mr. Shellhammer as he frantically works with Doris to get everything ready for the parade that's about to go on. It seems like they've had months and months to prepare for this, but they're just like running around like chaotically trying to direct everybody.
You've worked retail before. You know day of stuff is always crazy. I know
Yeah,
this
I
isn't
guess so.
exactly retail, but it's the same kind of premise.
The holidays are stressful. The guy who they got for Mr. Shellhammer, he to me he looks like a young Walt Disney.
Yes.
He's got the pointed nose and the mustache and the
mustache.
slick backed hair. He
Maybe it
looks
was
exact-
just the style.
I guess so.
It must have just been.
Yeah, Walt
style.
probably looked like everybody back then.
Yeah.
Kris Kringle observes the Santa in the parade from the street and notices that he doesn't have his whip down right. So he just walks backstage. Nobody stops him.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
says
he's
anything.
just like, oh,
There was
hey.
no security
Yeah.
back then.
Nope, they didn't
The
care.
city,
just
was
walks right in.
the city was a safe place to be.
Yeah. On the float, we see that the Santa that they have got is very, very intoxicated.
Poor guy.
He's completely
having a
drunk.
rough time.
Yeah.
He needs to stay warm.
He does.
It's freezing outside, I know. Kris tries to show the drunk Santa how to whip properly, but eventually Kris can smell the alcohol on his breath. He shames the drunken Santa and calls him a disgrace to the tradition of Christmas.
I gotta do something to keep warm.
You notice anytime in like movies, whenever they get somebody to like play Santa in the movie, it's always somebody that's like drunk and down on their luck
Yeah.
and just like stumbling
Yeah.
a mess.
It's never anyone who just like genuinely loves to play Santa.
No, it's
it's-
always like somebody off the street, like a homeless person, like, hey, can you be Santa? Like,
Yeah, and
Nobody
it's,
ever wants to be Santa.
It's kind of weird, and I'm like, but wouldn't like maybe somebody who like plays Santa like really just loves it? Maybe like the people who do that in like the department stores and stuff, or
I like to think
There,
that.
Yeah.
there are people who like they look forward to it like all year, like they.
There's like competitions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's SantaCon in the city
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I just feel I don't know. I feel like if I was gonna play Santa, like I would be all in. I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna play Santa. grow out my white beard and everything.
Yep.
You'd be like Alfred, who takes quite joy in it. In this
Yeah,
movie.
like Alf, that was his name. I was trying to think of it.
I liked him.
Yeah, me too.
Chris then seeks out who's in charge of the parade and asks a Shirley Temple lookalike.
Yeah, so fun fact. Okay, we had to stop it at this point because I was like, I feel like Shirley Temple's in this movie, but older. And Dan's like, what? And I'm like, okay. So the girl with the baton, you remember her? Mm-hmm. My dad, growing up, my dad and my grandfather told me my whole life that was Shirley Temple. They were like, yeah, that's Shirley Temple. And I'm like, okay. And like, I believed it because she kind of looks like her. But then when we were talking about it the other night when we watched the movie, I was like, maybe it's one of those things that like people just say, because I couldn't find, like, she wasn't in the credits or anything. Like, it's kind of weird. So I looked it up, and apparently it's a very, very common misconception. People do, in fact, think that that's Shirley Temple. It is not her. And it's one of those things like pre-internet, people just kind of like said and believed.
Who's going to call them out on it?
Yeah, it's been passed down for generations. And I'm like, wow, I feel really dumb now. But I never thought to fact check it. I believe what my dad told me.
Well, now you do a podcast where
Joe.
that's all I do.
Yeah. Well, here we are, informing the people.
And
this is where you get the facts.
Yep.
And bursting your bubble.
It's okay. I mean, I don't really care. I just thought
He didn't know any better. It's not even your dad's fault.
No.
He believed his father.
Yep. Damn it, Grandpa. What the hell?
Somebody probably told him, too.
Who?
No, I feel
No,
like he was a kid.
he was around
Yeah,
during
he
that,
was
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
He said, that's Shirley Temple.
He decided it was Shirley
He
Temple.
did. He was like, you know who that is? That's Shirley Temple. And then he just told everybody he knew.
Chris informs Doris that their Santa is drunk, which she's alarmed by this. The two confront the drunk Santa and decide he cannot possibly go out there. Doris asks Chris on a whim if he would mind playing Santa in the parade and helping her out. He's reluctant at first, but eventually realizes that the children must not be disappointed.
Well, it's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids.
Obviously.
And then two clown workers come by to strip the Santa of his clothes.
They're like, get his robe off.
Yeah, just leave him nude in the street.
Leave him outside in the cold, naked.
Poor guy. He's
Yeah.
probably like, what did I do?
I just saw there's two clowns that came
Yeah.
in.
And now he's even more cold.
I know, he's
Yeah.
gonna need to drink even more. This is a horrible cycle he's got himself in.
Poor guy.
The parade goes off without a hitch, with Chris properly playing Santa to a cheering crowd. Mr. Shellhammer is very pleased with this year's Santa and asks Doris if she'll continue watching the parade back from her house because their job is done for the day, to which she declines to do so.
Yeah.
She's not really interested in the parade, or Christmas for that matter at all.
No, not even a little bit.
She just wants to go home and take a bath. I wrote here, Shellhammer sounds like he's from the Flintstones.
Oh?
Like the name,
Like
Mr. Shell.
Flint?
Well, it sounds like a name from the Flintstones. Like, that would be like Fred Flintstone's boss,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Shellhammer.
Hellhammer, yeah.
It does.
A hammer made out of a shell.
Mm-hmm.
Doris returns home from her work, and
I'm sorry. This is a little off topic, but it's in reference to Shellhammer, and I just need to say it because it's just like a weird thought I had. So you know how like sometimes names are symbolism?
Mm-hmm.
To me, Shellhammer, like, I always subconsciously, like, pictured it like like he's like a turtle who, like, is afraid to come out of his shell because he's such, like, a nervous guy.
He did come across that way because he was below Doris, right?
Yeah.
He worked below her.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he looks, he gives off, like, villain vibes, but he's really not a bad guy.
No,
actually.
he's not.
No, he's
I thought
nice.
he was going to be a bad guy
Yeah.
too when he like overheard Santa saying to the Gimbals. I was like, oh no.
And he's got, like, the uptight look and, like, the...
Yeah.
He's really a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
I mean, he does get his wife drunk on purpose.
That's okay. She could have used a fun night. It's fine.
She looked like she had a good time.
She did.
She didn't know how to hold the phone.
Listen, if I don't answer the phone like that...
Anyways.
Doris returns home and finds that her daughter Susie is watching the parade at the apartment across the hall, which is owned by Fred Gailey.
And we can just like see all the window through window. We can just see everything.
Yeah, I guess the windows in her apartment, just like she's got a view of the other apartment, like what they're going.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mr. Gailey is played by John Payne, who is known for this primarily, and he was also the lead role in a Western television show called The Restless Gun.
Ooh.
Yeah. Susie.
I thought it was weird that they were okay with this kid just being in this man's apartment alone.
I thought so too, and he just kept saying, he's like, I'm very fond of you.
Yeah, and
I'm very fond of you.
Yeah,
And
I'm very
like,
fond of Susie, and I'm like, are you? Why are you so fond of Susie?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like,
But I had to keep telling myself it was a different time. It was a different time.
Yeah. I felt the same way, but I was like, today? No.
Yeah.
All right, so Susie is played by Natalie Wood. She would go on after this movie to have quite the career. She appeared in movies like Rebel Without a Cause, West Side Story, Splendor in the Grass, and Love with a Proper Stranger. Sadly, though, her career would be cut short at 43 when she accidentally drowned.
In the Pacific Ocean.
And it's kind of a mysterious case where all that is really known is that she drowned. But it's never been determined.
Wasn't it on set?
Was she like,
No.
Was she like at the beach on a boat?
She was on like a private yacht with
Her husband.
excuse me, with her husband and some friends. One of which I think was actually Christopher Walken.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's a mysterious case where they don't know how she was in the water in the first place, like what led to her falling over the side. It happened in the middle of the night, and there's a lot of he said, she said about what happened, and there was an argument between her and her husband by those who were on the boat, and her body turned up on shore. She had bruises, but no indication of how or when she got them, if somebody gave them to her or if it was falling over the side in the water, whatever it may be. And to this day, nobody has been formally charged, and there's been no concrete conclusion on what happened.
Yeah, like they don't know if it was an accident or if it was foul play.
Like
that.
it's still like an open case, and like they're looking into it as late as I think it's sort of like 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like
Isn't that crazy?
Every now and then like new evidence will get introduced, and like
Which like
yeah.
Okay.
So
know?
the cause of death is drowning, but whether it was done by somebody or intentional or just an accident, like she like had a couple drinks and then just fell over the side
or whatever.
No determination.
I mean, or maybe she just slipped. I mean, if it was nighttime, then it was dark. You don't really see where you're. I don't know.
Makes me think of White Lotus, honestly.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Susie, watching the parade with Fred, talks about how the parade has changed year to year as her mom tells her all about the floats. Through their conversation, it becomes clear that Susie doesn't believe in fairy tales and giants, and is brought up
Jack
under...
and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, she's brought up under realistic ideas, not fantasies, courtesy of her mother.
Thanks, Mom.
I mean, I get it.
I do
come
too.
on, let the kid have some fun.
I get it too. Like, I get if you don't want to like read fairy tales to your kid or like tell your kid fairy tales like that, but I feel like it's very, very unusual to not have your child believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah, and to not even like be able to play make believe and stuff like that. I don't know.
Also,
like,
I feel like
her
that's...
existence must suck.
I know.
Also, I feel like that's so detrimental to like where she goes to school, like other kids. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, well, yeah, because she's definitely that type.
Yeah.
Susie was definitely the type of kid that would be like, there is no Santa Claus. So all her friends were like,
Yep.
She informs Fred that she's never met her father, and her parents divorced when she was just a baby. Doris comes over to collect her daughter, but stays for a cup of coffee. Doris thanks Fred for being so kind to Susie. She even heard from Cleo, her housekeeper across the hall, that Fred took Susie to the zoo the other day.
yeah, and I was like, why are you taking this kid out? What are you doing?
He's very fond of her.
It's very creepy to me.
And Cleo's just like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, take her out.
I do think the line was that he took them to the zoo. I think Cleo went.
Her too?
I think she went to the zoo with them.
Okay.
But still, I think it's a little weird. That would never happen today. I would never allow that today. I would be like, what do you mean you took my kid to the zoo and I didn't know? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's different time. It's different time. It gives off major creeper vibes.
It does.
Yeah. He also wants to be friends with Susie because he's also very interested in Doris as well. And he read that one of the best ways to befriend a mother is to befriend the child.
Yeah, that's like classic manipulation from the 40s and also creepy.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Doris and Fred discuss how Susie doesn't believe in Santa or fairy tales or anything like that, and Doris is quite proud of that and feels that we should be truthful and honest with our children and not have them growing up believing in legends and myths.
Because it doesn't prepare them for the real world.
Mr. Gailey seems disheartened by this, and being
experienced as a parent, obviously.
He doesn't push her though. He doesn't argue. He just kind of accepts it before Doris and Susie get up to leave.
Poor Lucy.
Loser.
Before they do, Susie asks her mom if Fred can come over for dinner, which soon becomes obvious that Fred put her up to some more manipulation. To get with Doris.
She's like, did I do good?
Yeah.
But Doris eventually agrees and invites him over for dinner.
Well, it is Thanksgiving. He's alone.
Yeah.
I know.
He's already taken her to the zoo.
I completely forgot it was Thanksgiving because that makes dinner at 3 so much more sense. It's like dinner at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does make sense.
And he was like, I'm sure I'll just have a sandwich or something.
Yeah.
I think I have some breadcrumbs laying around.
Like, I was like, this poor man just invited him to dinner.
I know.
As the parade wraps up, Mr. Shellhammer and Doris talk on the phone about how wonderful Santa was this year. He pitches to her the idea of bringing him onto the Macy's staff as their store Santa, as he would do wonders.
Woo. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? Have Drunky McDrunk?
Oh, do you think he was?
Person?
Do you think he was a Macy Santa too?
Yeah.
Oh man, Macy's in. I bet you Gimbals
I
has a
didn't
nice
even
Santa.
think of that.
The next day, in the workers' locker room, Kris Kringle dresses for his first day at work. He meets Alfred, who is the 17-year-old janitor.
I love Alfred.
He was nice, yeah.
Yeah, he was a nice little supporting actor.
He struck me as like a nice Italian boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was Italian, but that's what he
did
sounded
look
like.
Italian. He looked like, what's the guy's name from My Cousin Vinny?
Oh, Ralph Macchio?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did look like him, yeah.
Aww.
Alfred talks about how he plays Santa over at the Y, and he tells Kris that he enjoys playing Santa because he loves seeing the kids' faces when they receive presents from Santa.
Literally, who doesn't love giving people presents? I love giving.
I love giving people
I do
presents.
too.
I love
I'm
giving
so
people-
excited for your birthday present. Did I tell you what I got her?
No, I have no clue. Oh, okay. Mr. Shellhammer then comes down and greets Santa and gives him tips on how to play Santa. He gives him a list of toys based on what they're overstocked on in the store. When he encounters a child who is undecided on what they want, he has to pitch one of the toys to them.
That's so terrible.
Yeah, well,
I could never. I was not good at retail because I didn't do stuff like that.
yeah, Kris doesn't like this idea because he feels that it's not in the spirit of Christmas to trick children into something they don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
He hates commercialism.
Yeah.
On the floor for Kris's first day at work, he talks to a boy named Peter who wants a fire engine just like the big ones, only smaller. It has a real hose that squirts live water. He won't do it in the house. He'll only do it in the backyard, he promises.
He promises.
That kid was so funny because Dan was like, what did he say? And I'm like, I think it was something like he wants one with a real hose that squirts water and he'll only do it outside, not in the house. Then we
You got it right.
I
yeah.
did get it right. It's because I worked at a daycare.
Yeah. His mother whispers to Kris that Macy's doesn't have any. In fact, nobody does. Kris doesn't take the hint very well, and he tells Peter that since he's been a good boy, he'll get a fire engine, much to his mom's displeasure.
And she's like, I want to thank Santa too.
Yeah, she's like, run along, I need to talk to him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, where is your child going alone in this busy department store?
They don't give a shit.
This mom, by the way, is very, see?
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
from other stuff. I forget her name, but she's from other things.
I didn't look her up.
Every single character in this movie is what I thought was like very Italian.
Like a
Yeah.
caricature of
Even
Yeah.
Alfred. He's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
sure, you know.
yeah, like they had very heavy New York accents.
Yeah.
The mom pulls Kris aside and asks what's the matter with him. Kris informs...
What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Kris informs the mom, though, that they have the same fire engine that this boy is looking for at Schoenfeld's on Lexington Avenue. The mother is confused why a Macy's employee would send someone to another store.
I don't get it.
She just doesn't get it. But Santa tells the mother that all that matters is that the children are made happy regardless on who profits it or who doesn't.
I agree.
So then Mr. Shellhammer comes down to listen in on Santa and see how he's doing on his first day, and he overhears another conversation with another child. But he hears him telling his parent, this other child's parent, that while they have skates here at Macy's...
Gimbals has better ones.
Yeah, exactly. And Mr. Shellhammer is horrified to hear this, and...
Yep.
He walks away, not sure what to do. He's got one of his employees sending customers to other stores. But before he can act on anything, he's stopped by Peter's mother from before. And she wants to congratulate Macy's on putting the spirit of Christmas ahead of commercialism and being willing to send customers to other stores rather than sell them something of their own.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And as a result, she tells Mr. Shellhammer that she will be a regular Macy's customer from now on.
Yeah.
Even though she never used to really shop there.
Because
Yeah, because they didn't have fire engines.
That's right.
Yeah.
With real hoses.
And then back in his office, Mr. Shellhammer, his secretary, tells him that more women are here and they want to congratulate him as well.
Yeah.
Did you notice what was over his shoulder in his office?
No.
A fire engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I thought that was funny. We then see Mr. Gailey in line to meet Santa along with Susie. She tells Fred that it seems rather silly, but Fred, I guess against her mother's wishes, decides
What is he doing taking the kid to the store? What is he doing? Like, okay, I don't agree with her parenting style, but it's not my kid. It's her kid.
Yeah. Was this still Thanksgiving, by the way?
No.
Oh, it was
this
the next day.
Yeah. Well, Victoria, you're forgetting one thing. This is a man in the 40s, so he knows better.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, George. My mistake, George. Have you seen those videos? With,
No.
Like no. You might have seen them on Reels. It's like a woman and it's a husband and wife, and they're like playing like a 1950s characters, and the husband's name is George, and I forget the woman's name, but it's like basically her just being like a
Obedient.
Bowing down to him and everything.
drugged up, lobotomized type,
Oh.
and he's like, now listen here, I won't have any witchcraft, and she's like, you're right, George, remember that time I went outside? And it's like very, yeah, and he's like, yeah, you're right, and you embarrassed me, never doing that again, and it was, yeah. So anyway, sorry.
That's
Moving
basically
right
what it
along.
Fred and Susie are now next to meet Santa, and Susie is still skeptical of the whole thing. Chris senses her doubt and tells her to pull his beard to show that he's really Santa. Because I guess anyone with a long white beard must really be Santa.
Well,
Nobody
yeah.
else owns one.
Nope.
Yeah. Santa asks Susie what she wants for Christmas, and she responds with nothing. If it's sensible and doesn't cost too much, her mother will get it for her.
Yeah.
Doris arrives and politely pulls Susie away from Santa.
Seems
and
like
tells,
Doris makes a good living. I don't know why it needs to not cost so much, but
Well, as long as it's realistic. Like, actually something she needs. She doesn't
Clothes.
splurge. Yeah, clothes. You can get some nice clothes.
and books.
Yeah.
She's still a single mom.
You're right,
It's true.
she is.
Living in Manhattan. In a nice
Back
apartment.
then it was cheap.
Yeah.
With the housekeeper.
Yeah. She makes good money, that's what I'm saying.
Doris pulls Fred aside and she tells Fred that she expects him to respect her decisions as Susie's mother, to which he acknowledges, even if he doesn't agree with it, which he ultimately does agree to do so.
He's one of the good ones. The bar is so low.
Agree with a woman. Okay.
It's like, I didn't agree the first time, but now, okay, fine. You said it again.
Yeah.
I'll listen.
Yeah.
Next, we see Chris meets a little Dutch girl who was recently adopted and doesn't speak any English.
Were you listening to this part? Like, was this?
She was orphaned and they just adopted her and she didn't speak any English.
Yeah, but like, I was listening to it and I was like, wait. She came over on a boat, like as a refugee, I think. Her parents died. Like, where did they die? Did they die on the boat?
I don't know.
Did she like flee to come here
parents sent her?
alone? Like, what happened where this kid's parents died? Why is she not traumatized? How the fuck did they adopt her? Do they speak Dutch? Like, I'm confused.
I'm assuming she does speak, the mom does speak Dutch. I don't know why she wouldn't translate. But I don't know.
Maybe she doesn't.
Why did you get so confused? Because all I did was like cry at this
Oh
scene.
no, I mean, it's a very emotional scene, but I was just thinking about it like, what happened to her parents? How did they die? When did they die? What's going on? Like, I just want to know. I'm just a little nosy.
I just figured she was orphaned from another country. You know, like you can adopt kids from like other countries and stuff. I figured
That's kind of
it
what
was-
I thought, too.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, really. A lot of countries don't want us adopting
Yeah,
children.
I don't blame them.
Me either. I wouldn't want America adopting my kids.
Like, get your own children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her newly adopted mother told her that Santa wouldn't be able to understand her, but when she saw him in the parade yesterday, the little girl insisted on meeting Santa Claus.
Because he's the real... He's
Sinterklaas,
the
yeah.
real Santa Claus.
That's right. Suddenly, Kris Kringle starts speaking Dutch to the little girl, much to the amazement of everybody, including the little girl herself. And Susie's watching nearby, and she witnesses the whole thing.
And she's like, wow.
The two share a conversation with each other, and even sing a Dutch Christmas song together.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was so cute.
In the 1994 version, I'm pretty sure it was the 94 version, they changed it from a Dutch child to a deaf child, and he signs with the
Oh,
kid.
that's cute, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the conversation they're having is?
I would imagine it's something like,
Yeah, they didn't translate it.
have you been a good girl this year?
It's...
What do you want?
Yeah, like...
The conversation being had is Santa asking what she wants for Christmas, with the little girl saying that she wants nothing, telling him she got her gift by being adopted by her new
Yeah.
mother.
I actually did know that.
Yeah, and that's when they sing the song together.
Dan's like gonna cry.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
It was really cute though, this scene. Like if I saw this in real life, I probably would have just like melted right there.
You know, why didn't they... I wonder why they didn't put the subtitles. They just said, like, speaking in Dutch
Yeah.
in the captions.
They were too lazy to translate.
Later on, Susie and Doris are discussing what Susie saw with the Dutch girl. Doris is insistent that just because he spoke Dutch, that doesn't make him Santa. She speaks French, but that doesn't make her Joan of Arc.
Which okay.
I mean, I get her point. Like,
Yeah, but I feel like it's uncommon to find somebody, like, at this time who would be able to speak Dutch.
Dutch is pretty obscure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kris joins the two in her office, and she because she called him up to her office. Doris asks Kris to please tell Susie that he is not the real Santa Claus. Kris regrets to inform her. Fortunately, he is Santa Claus. Doris asks for his employment card from her secretary, I guess, and upon reading it, she sees that he is originally from the North Pole. His address now is Brooks Memorial Home for the Aged, which it says it's in Great Neck, Long Island, which we're from Long Island, so naturally all of us were like, is this a real place? Is this a real place?
But it
It's
does not
not.
exist.
No, it's not. His date of birth is as old as my tongue and a little bit older than my teeth.
Yep.
And like I said before, his next of kin is all his reindeer except for Rudolph.
Yep. And his name is, in fact, Kris Kringle.
Kris Kringle.
By the way, this is like totally off topic, but I always kind of got the impression that Doris's office is in the basement because I didn't see any windows. It struck me as like a basement, oh, we have to give this person an office kind of
Give the
thing.
woman
I
the
never
office in the
noticed
basement.
I felt like they had so much space for like the employees in the offices because I felt like they were walking those hallways
Yeah,
forever.
I know.
I just
Bro.
assumed they were all upstairs though.
They had a store psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and what I assume is a store doctor.
Yeah.
Like office.
So weird. Like,
Yeah.
was that a normal thing back then? What
don't know.
happened?
Doris can't make any sense of this and asks to talk to Kris by herself. She informs Kris that unfortunately they're going to have to make a change at Santa, lying about how the previous Santa they had is back in town, and they feel it's only fair to give him his position back.
AKA, you're fired, you psychopath.
Yeah, but in the middle of their conversation, Mr. Macy buzzes for Doris to come up to his office. When Doris goes to Mr. Macy's office, they're all delighted to see her. Mr. Shellhammer is there as well. And Mr. Macy informs them that while he isn't too happy with them deciding to do this publicity stunt without consulting advertising, he's thrilled by the public reception of it all.
Yeah.
By the way, R.H. Macy passed away in 1877, long before this movie came out, so this is just...
Well,
I was
I think
wondering.
I told you while we were watching it that they wouldn't have owned it anyway because they sold it before
That's right,
he
yeah.
passed away.
Yeah,
I think they sold it in 57? I don't remember.
I think you're right.
I thought it was 57 or 58.
Mr. Macy informs the higher-ups that are also in on this meeting that effective immediately, all employees will start directing customers to other stores' competitors to find what they want.
Did the Macy's pass away on the Titanic?
I don't know.
I thought they did.
Maybe. You might be right.
I would love to look it up.
I can look it up.
Sorry, everyone. I just thought I remember hearing that, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot today.
Well, it's funny. I googled how did the Macy's family pass away, and one of the like related things is what famous couple died on the Titanic. Oh yeah, co-owner Rosalie Ida Strauss was
So this-
a German-American homemaker and wife of Isidor Strauss, U.S. congressman and co-owner of Macy's department store. She and her husband died during the sinking on the Titanic.
So, not this guy. The other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because I
didn't
think
know
that they highlight them in the movie. The old couple that's like in the bed at the end.
That's
That's
them?
supposed to be them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Interesting. Mr. Macy informs the higher-ups that effective immediately, all employees will start directing customers to other stores, even if it's their competitors.
They set up like a pamphlet, like a whole book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Macy's will now be known as the Helpful Store, the Friendly Store, and the Store with a Heart.
Yeah.
At first, when I saw them making this book of all of the other competitors' like flyers, they like used a paintbrush to glue it. But at first, I was like, "Oh my god, what are they painting? I can't see. It's black and white. I don't know what color they're painting." But then I realized it was glue.
By the way, there is a color version of this. Like,
Yeah.
this was one of the first film. I had this at the end. This is one of the first films that was remastered into color. Mm-hmm. And Disney does not have it for some
Yeah,
reason.
I don't
Disney
understand. It was annoying because you remember you looked at it and like the little picture.
Yeah.
They do
It's in color, and and we're all excited. I'm like, yay, it's gonna be in color. And then I'm watching it. I'm like,
It's not.
it's not in color.
Maybe it was going to be like a Wizard of Oz type thing
Yeah.
where half of it is in color.
I really thought, like, somewhere in this movie, all right, it's got to turn to color eventually.
No.
It really didn't bother me as much as I thought it would.
No, but it was just weird how, like, the thumbnail is in color, the preview image is in color, and then the movie's just in black and white.
I don't mind black and white. I actually like black and white films, but this movie I feel like lends itself very well to color. So I was excited to see it in color, but that didn't happen.
Doris and Mr. Shellhammer are confused by the praise and the bonuses that they've received, and Doris informs him that unfortunately she just fired Santa for...
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Mr. Shellhammer tells her that she must get him back immediately. Fearing that he might be crazy, they compromise and come to the conclusion that they should first at least have him examined by Mr. Sawyer, the store's psychologist.
The store psycho, you mean?
Yeah.
Literally.
Doris comes back to her office and tells Kris that they're keeping him on as Santa. He's happy to hear this, and he feels that Christmas is a frame of mind, which is something that's becoming lost. He'll use this opportunity to maybe do something about the changing nature of it all. If he can win over Doris and Susie, then there's still hope, he says.
Yep, no pressure.
Yeah. Doris informs Kris that tomorrow morning he has a psychological test with Mr. Sawyer. He thinks nothing of it as he's passed multiple tests before.
Yeah.
And demonstrates it to Doris. He even shows off his knowledge by naming the vice president under John Quincy Adams.
I don't remember this person's name. Don't ask me.
Daniel Day Tompkins.
Yeah, who the fuck would know that? I don't even know if that's true. Honestly, I didn't fact check it. It could be dead wrong.
You know me so well, Victoria, because unfortunately, that's not true.
Really?
The vice president for John Quincy Adams is John C. Calhoun.
Okay.
Tompkins was James Monroe's president.
Oh no, so
Vice president.
Oh no, so he is a senile crazy old man. That's the joke. He's not Santa. My life is ruined.
He got it. He's not Santa. He's not Santa.
No, you sit on a throne of lies. Wait, that's the whole joke of the movie.
Well, the movie got it wrong. It's not like they were intending for him to get it wrong. It's because I remember looking it up. Actually, let me look it up.
There's like a reason why he got it wrong. It's not because they were making some kind of like meta joke with the audience.
No. The crew, the film itself messed up, and there's a reason why.
Oh my!
Because they don't have Google.
Well, they don't have Google. That's very true.
The encyclopedia misprinted.
Here it is. The confusion arose because Adams was the sixth president.
Sorry.
That's all right. Crack it open.
Crack open a beer.
The confusion arose because Adams was the sixth president, where Tompkins was the sixth vice president. Some presidents having had a different vice president each term.
Gotcha.
And one of the latter having served under two of the former.
So basically the fact checker of the movie was just an idiot.
So they were
He
like,
just looked up who was the sixth vice president.
rather than saying who was
Yeah.
John Quincy Adams vice
Okay,
president.
okay. That makes more sense.
But you're right. He failed. He's not Santa. The next morning...
Shit. Poor movie's alive.
The next morning, Mr. Sawyer seems rather annoyed having to do a test for a man who believes himself to be Santa. Kris continues to pass his tests, though, and proves himself to be mentally competent. He then meets with Doris and Dr. Pierce, who is from the Brooks Memorial Home for the Aged.
Where he lives.
Where he lives. And Mr. Sawyer advises Doris that Kris should be dismissed immediately, even though he passed the examination.
But I also just want to know, why does he live there? Doesn't he live in the North Pole? Like, why was he... I don't get it.
I thought it meant, like, he's from the North Pole, but he's living at this home.
Like, in between? But
Like-
what about Mrs. Claus?
Yeah.
I don't think Mrs. Claus was a concept at the time.
Oh, okay.
Like Rudolph. So it's just one man living at the North Pole with all these reindeer.
And the elves? What about the elves?
Well, the elves just take care of everything while he's not there, so.
I guess. Because then I also was wondering, I'm like, Santa is still here in New York.
Yeah.
It is Christmas Eve. I understand you need to, he couldn't go to dinner Christmas Eve because he was like, oh, it's Christmas Eve.
That's like the only time he fulfills his, like, Santa
Yeah,
duties.
but doesn't he need to be there to, like, check the list twice? Make his list and check it twice?
He did that in his own time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Anyways.
He had Scott Calvin take care of it.
Oh.
Mr. Sawyer suggests that he should be institutionalized, to which Dr. Pierce steps in and disagrees as he is no harm to himself or anybody else. He says that Kris only wants to be helpful to people and is no threat to cause any violence. Mr. Sawyer points out that he carries a cane with him, to which Dr. Pierce assures him that it is silly to imply that he would ever use the cane as a weapon, and I'm sure this will not come back ever in the movie.
He doesn't
again.
use the cane as a weapon.
He doesn't?
He uses an umbrella.
Oh, I thought it was his cane. I thought that was the whole point of this line. It was like,
was
he'll
a
never
cane
do
too.
it.
I'm pretty positive it's an umbrella.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
Someone-
Dr. Pierce was right then.
Listen, I've been wrong twice today. Someone feel free to
I-
double check me, but I remember taking note of it during the movie. I was like, He hit him with an umbrella, but I could be really wrong.
To be fair,
really, I don't remember.
You've been wrong 1.5 times because you were right about the Macy's thing, just the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, someone check me.
When we get to it, I'll look at it. Mr. Sawyer tells Doris that he can't discharge the man, only give his advice. Doris and Mr. Shellhammer walk Mr. Pierce out.
And they're like, it's on you, Doris.
Yeah. And
naturally, it's on the woman.
And the conversation ends with this weird exchange. Dr. Pierce goes, he's getting ready to leave, and they're like, oh, you can head out the same elevator that you came. And Dr. Pierce is like, well, which way is that now? I'm a little twisted. Doris goes, here, let me walk you out. Oh, that's not necessary. I'll find my way.
Yeah, will you though?
You just said you don't know where it is.
I know. It was so weird to me.
Yeah.
Also, I was laughing because they were like, take the employee elevator, it's faster. Meanwhile, it's stuck.
Packed. And that was the second time we saw the employee elevator, and it's still jam-packed.
I
I'm
was
like, where are these people going?
I was like, where are y'all going? Y'all okay?
On their walk
How
out.
is that faster?
I don't know.
On their
I don't want to
walk-
see what the customers... Sorry, Dan.
No, it's
I
fine.
don't want to know what the customer one looks like.
On their walk out, the three come to the conclusion that what Kris needs is someone at Macy's to give him a room to stay in.
Yeah, that's totally normal. Most people do that.
Yeah, just
Right.
Room with
house
their
him.
coworkers.
Why? And also, why... Like, what was wrong? Great Neck isn't that far.
I know.
It wasn't... They were like, oh, he has to commute every day. And
Well, Dr. Pierce did say that. He was like, I would prefer him to not take the train twice a day.
You see, this is why they ask you on applications if you're in reasonable commuting distance.
Well, I think that they, because they wanted to, like, have someone keep an eye on him.
That's what it
But
really
I feel like listen, the Department of Labor clearly was like not. They didn't have HR. They didn't have all these things. That would never fly today.
Yeah, the reason, like you said, is that so somebody can keep an eye on him when they're going into work and when they're coming out of work, and then while he's at work, he's under everybody's...
But not so much in between.
Well, while he's in the building, I guess somebody can watch him too.
Yeah, I guess. Doris, you just have to stare at him all day.
Yeah. The two decide that Mr. Shellhammer should rent out his son's room who's away at school. Surprisingly, Mr. Shellhammer is not against this idea, but in order to convince his wife,
Mrs. Shellhammer.
he's going to need to liquor her up. He's
He's like, oh, we have martinis on Wednesday. I'll make hers a double.
Yeah, listen.
I think he even said triple.
What kind of he does, but
I
he
think
says
he said
double.
triple, yeah.
No, he said double, but then he ends up doing triple.
Yeah, he
He
said,
got carried away.
Yeah.
I don't understand though. Like, we don't have set drinks that we drink per day of the week. It's not like our underwear that's labeled like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I mean,
You know what?
sometimes
Maybe-
Wednesdays are like wind down Wednesdays for some people.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. Margarita Mondays, you know?
Tequila Tuesdays.
There you go.
Wind down Wednesday.
Thirsty Thursday.
What is...
Fireball Fridays.
Oh, no. No,
Nope.
thank you.
Nope.
He'll do this plan tonight, and he'll pitch the idea to her, and then he'll give Doris a call. But in the meantime, Doris will take Kris home for dinner, and then tell him the good news when Mr. Shellhammer calls.
Great.
So then later that night at Doris's apartment, Kris is talking with Susie. Kris asks Susie what games she plays with the boys and girls in the building, and she said she doesn't really play any of their silly games. She tells him the story of how the other day they were down in the basement playing zoo.
Which will not lead to any kind of cancer whatsoever.
Yeah, with all
probably.
the lead and the paint down there.
you
Yeah.
know.
All the boys
Kids
and
being kids.
The soot.
all the boys and girls were making different animal sounds, and Homer, the zookeeper, asked her what kind of animal she is.
She said, I'm not an animal, I'm a girl.
That's right, and Homer says, "Okay, well, only animals are allowed here. Be gone. Get out of here. Get out of
She
here."
couldn't be a guest at the zoo?
No.
She couldn't
Yeah.
be like a... No?
You've been to the zoo. They keep all the
zookeeper.
animals in the same place, you know, and just no
They're
people allowed.
kids playing pretend.
Yeah.
And she's the weird one, so get out.
Well, Kris asks her why she didn't pretend to be an animal, and he tells her that in order to play games like that, you need to have an imagination.
And she's like,
Imagination.
yeah. She's like, I'm okay without that. It's fine.
Yeah. An imagination is a place all by itself, a separate country. It's a place where you can make snowballs in the summertime, where you can drive a big bus right down Fifth Avenue, a ship that travels to China and Australia, and even be the Statue of Liberty.
What did he say, though? He was like, oh, there's the...
There's like the something nation and the other nation.
And then there's the imagination. I was like, oh, that's so
clever.
I was like, I like what you did there.
Susie's eyes grow wide as she wants to experience all these things. Kris then teaches Susie how to pretend. He shows her how to be a monkey,
Yeah.
and the two mimic the actions and sounds of a monkey.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
No.
She wasn't very good.
It was her first time.
Yeah.
They could have just simply done like, whoop, 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 but they were just making weird noises with their mouths, like just blabbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like squawking.
Squawk.
They don't go to the zoo very often.
No, that's a bird. In the kitchen, Fred and Doris make dinner as Fred talks about being a lawyer.
And they seem to be dating now for some reason.
No, I guess there just comes a moment in this movie where like they're just like,
together.
hello darling, hello darling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
And at the end they kiss and you're like, well, I guess they are together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He comes out of the kitchen and is amused to find Kris and Susie pretending to be monkeys. But Fred pulls Kris aside and offers for him to move in with him in his apartment.
Because he has a spare twin bed.
Yeah, so
Not bedroom.
No, yeah, when he said
Bed.
this, I was like, oh, he's got a 2-bedroom, all right. No, he's got a bed next to
Yep.
his bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like
Which is
a
also
nightstand
kind of
in
weird.
between.
That's also weird. Why does he have that?
Well, I mean, before the Flintstones, it was depicted in movies and television that like married couples slept in separate beds.
Okay, he's not married.
No, but I guess like.
But also,
somebody-
it's depicted that way.
My grandmother's house, she had a separate bedroom for my grandfather, and they both had 2 twin beds in their bedroom, and I
See-
didn't understand why.
Well, like, okay, having the separate bedrooms, I understand. Like, everybody personal preferences, whatever. But it's weird to me that this man who lives alone, this bachelor who lives alone, has a second bed in his bedroom.
Our moment's coming up here.
Yeah, with
Okay.
the umbrella. That's what I was looking for.
Hopefully it's an umbrella, because otherwise I'm just tapping out.
It's an umbrella.
Fuck yeah, it's an umbrella!
All right, good job, Toya.
Toya knew! Toya got something right today!
So then Dr. Pierce is right.
I'm getting a ginger ale to reward myself!
He wasn't a
have a
liar.
ginger ale.
That's funny. Why wouldn't they make him use his cane?
I don't
They
know.
literally said the line to set that up. That's so
I know, but
annoying.
nope, it was an umbrella.
We're talking about Fred
with the
bringing
bed.
Kris in his bachelor
So
pad.
I actually found, when was the Great Depression? No, that was like
30s.
The 30s. 29.
Yeah.
because I heard that couples only started sharing a bed in the Great Depression, during the Great Depression, because they could only afford one bed, that it was actually very common for people to have 2 beds. But it doesn't really like he was a single man,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
why did he even have another bed to begin with?
Maybe I guess for when he got married, he was prepping.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But like that's the only
Sitting
thing I
as
can
Kris.
think of. Yeah. Listen, just saying. I just think it's a little weird, but whatever.
So he's got the
So,
extra twin bed.
Fortunately,
Yeah, and he says that he can go into work every day with Doris and come home with Doris every day.
and Doris is like, great, excellent. I love that.
Chris loves this idea, so he accepts. Mr. Shellhammer then calls Doris with the good news. He passes the phone to Mrs. Shellhammer.
And he's like, "Don't worry, I did a triple
Yeah.
instead of a double." I feel like he said
She
triple.
can't even hold the phone the right way. She's holding it upside down, and she's talking into the listening part.
No, dear. This way. Hello. I love that.
So-
I'm gonna answer the phone like that.
You should.
I will.
Drunk off her ass.
At work.
I was just gonna say when people call you.
Broker's gonna call me. Hello.
Mr. Shellhammer tells Doris that she would love to have Santa Claus stay with them, and when Doris goes to tell Kris the good news, he informs her that he's already taken Mr. Gailey up on his offer, much to Doris's displeasure.
She's like, "Wait, what?"
So now my question is, how does Doris tell Mr. and Mrs. Shellhammer this? Because
They probably just let her sleep it off.
poor Mrs. Shellhammer.
She
Yeah.
probably doesn't remember. Are you kidding me?
You're probably right.
And that was the other part. I was like, if you get her drunk and have her say yes, she's not gonna remember saying yes the next morning.
Yeah.
Honey, this is Kris Kringle. Remember you said he could stay with us?
Yeah.
Honey, Santa's moving in. Oh.
Hello. Later that night, as Kris is putting Susie to bed all alone in this little girl's room.
Yup, so weird. Who Doris thinks is a little crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put Susie to bed, if that's all right with you. He's persistent that there must be something that Susie wants for Christmas. And Susie,
Like, well.
she eventually gives in and shows him a picture of a house she tore out of a magazine.
And he's like, but your apartment's beautiful. And she's like, psh.
I want to swing. And I'm like, your apartment is so nice, girl.
I know.
She wants a real house with a swing in the backyard for her and her mom to live in. Kris is apprehensive and tells her that just because every child can't get their wish doesn't mean that Santa isn't real.
Well, listen, you're dealing with absolutes with this child.
Well-
So that is 100% what it means.
Hey, I asked my parents like 5 years in a row for a monkey for Christmas and I never got it, so it happens.
He did. That's a real story.
That is a real story. Some children wish for things they couldn't
Not
possibly
even a stuffed
use.
animal monkey?
No. I didn't think of it this way. Some children wish for things they couldn't possibly use. What could she possibly use with a house? What could I use
I don't
a
know,
monkey
to
for?
live in.
Yeah, she's got a little more reason than me.
You could have a monkey as a pet.
Yeah, in hindsight, that would have been awful.
Yeah, no, like knowing now what we know about monkeys than we don't know as kids.
Well, also, like our neighbor across the street when I moved into my house, they had a monkey. That guy had a monkey.
Is that legal?
I don't know, but it wore a diaper, and it was mean. So
Or a diaper.
I don't know. I remember being like really freaked out because he would have it out like on the front lawn, and, like the house that got knocked down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, and I would be really freaked out.
I kind of expected it to be that house.
Yeah.
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 Susie doubts Chris's abilities, but he assures her that he will do his best before wishing her a good night. And Susie saves her piece of gum that I guess she chews before bed every night.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Puts it away and shuts the light.
It's like her one vice, you know? It's her one.
It's her
like,
comfort.
It's it's like her shot or her like puff of cigarette. I don't know.
Which this is the 40s. She probably could have just smoked a cigarette.
She probably could
It's
have.
more practical than the gum.
Over at Fred's apartment, the two lovebirds prepare for bed. They're sleeping in the same room,
Meaning
but in
Kris
two twin beds.
Kringle and Mr. Gailey.
Obviously, I thought that was.
They're like Bert and Ernie over there.
Yeah.
They are. Well, I didn't realize that they were in the same room, but like until they like panned out on the screen, because I was like, oh, I'm like the bathroom is connected to, like the other room. That's weird.
Like
why is he using like his bathroom that's connected to his bedroom? And then they panned out and I was like,
Oh, it's their
there's
bedroom.
two beds.
Yeah.
So and then I was like, oh, Kris Kringle they're sharing closets, because like Kris Kringle was hanging a coat or something in the closet, like putting on a hanger and hanging it in there, and I was like, oh,
That's so weird.
Fred talks to Kris about how he hopes one day to own his own place on Long Island. They then begin to talk about Doris and Susie more. And the two make an agreement and try to get those two to come out of their shells. Kris will take care of Susie if Fred takes care of Doris. Mm-hmm. Before going to bed, Fred wants to ask Santa the one question that has plagued him for years.
Which is
the one
never-
question that
never-
everybody's dying to know for centuries.
Never crossed my mind ever.
What was the question?
It was, is his beard in or out?
no, he said whiskers in or out,
yeah.
and I was like, what? And then he like moves his blanket and he's like, always out, and I was like,
Because the cold air makes them grow.
Yeah,
That's what he
yeah.
said.
That's so weird. Not like, what's your favorite reindeer? How do you get to all
get-
the houses
Yeah.
in one night? Like, nothing like
What
that.
is your-
how do you fit down the chimney?
Yeah.
What is your grading criteria for good and bad?
Yeah, like I could think of 100 other questions that I would want to ask Kris Kringle. Besides, do you put your beard under the covers or outside of the
I
covers?
would have just assumed over.
Well, then it got me
weird
thinking.
to not.
Then it got me thinking. How do I sleep? And I kind of
With
put
your
the
beard?
blanket. I don't have a beard, but I do like put it up to like my face sometimes, you know. And I guess I was like, well, if I had a beard, I guess I don't know if I would do that. I should ask Jamie Lee, my cousin's husband,
Yeah,
because
he's
he's
got
got
a
a
good
long
beard.
beard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him right
What
now.
do you
sure.
do?
My beard's not long enough, but I
Yeah.
guess it's out.
Well,
Michael's got a bigger beard than me.
Yeah, but
Maybe
you know,
Michael
well,
would do that.
Michael sleeps on his back like a vampire, according to Alex. So, like, I think he is out, but you sleep on your stomach and you like cuddle like the blanket up to
Yeah.
your face. So you're technically an in.
I'm an innie? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Thought I was an outie all these years. The next day...
I literally just texted him. I go, question.
Yeah, I want to know this.
I go, whiskers out or under the covers? Meaning your beard.
And he's probably like, what?
He's probably like, I don't know, let me go to bed. Let me see. The next day, we meet Mr. Gimbal. He's giving out to all his people, and he's upset. He wants to know why they didn't think of this plan that Macy's is implementing before.
Oh no.
Macy's looks like the hero, and Gimbals looks like the money grabber.
They are. They both are.
They both are. From now on, if Gimbals doesn't have something the customer's looking for, we're going to send him back to Macy's. And not only here are they doing it, but they're going to up their plan by doing the same policy in Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh as well. Macy's responds by extending their new policy nationwide to San Francisco, Atlanta, Toledo, and Newark.
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 Is that like a big city? I guess so.
They got an airport, so I assume.
Yeah, but Islip has an airport.
That's probably Jersey's biggest city, right? Newark? New Jersey?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be Trenton, their capital? Wouldn't it be Jersey Shore?
Well, Albany is our capital. It's not the biggest city.
True. Who decided that?
Who can say? If you're from New Jersey, let us know.
I should just ask Rebecca and Erica.
Yeah, you should. Next, we see a photo op taking place between Santa, Mr. Gimble, and Mr. Macy shaking hands with each other.
And Mr. Macy gives Santa a really nice bonus.
Mr. Macy shows his gratitude towards Santa by handing him a very wealthy Christmas bonus, to which he says he's going to use it for a doctor friend who needs a new x-ray machine. Mr. Macy's note that number won't quite cover it, to which Mr. Gimble jumps in and says, I'll pay the difference.
Yeah.
Mr. Macy counters his generosity by informing Santa if he purchases the x-ray machine through Macy's, he'll give him 10% off. So stop by aisle 5 to pick up your x-ray machines
Yeah,
at Macy's.
really? What the hell?
The next night, Kris puts Susie to bed again and offers to sing a goodnight song to her. It becomes clear that Doris
She's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, Doris has never sung a goodnight song to Susie ever. Susie blows a big bubble with her gum, and Kris asks for a piece himself. Mm-hmm. And apparently he blows a bubble that's too big, causing it to burst, and gum gets in his beard.
Whiskers.
Dang.
The next day at work, Kris has lunch with Alfred, who is very upset.
It took me a while to realize where they were. I'm like, are they at the food court at the mall or something?
They're in the store cafeteria, I guess you would say. Alfred informs him that he met with Mr. Sawyer earlier, and he was telling him about how he loves giving presents to the little kids at the Y and pretending to be Santa, like he was telling him before. And Mr. Sawyer's response is to deem this as bad behavior. He says, guys who would get enjoyment out of playing Santa Claus do so because they must have done something when they were younger that was really bad, and now they feel guilty about it.
Like, what the fuck? Who says that?
This
that makes no sense.
Quite the reach. I'm
Right?
not really sure of the logic here. So now they must do something good to make up for it all. This analysis upsets Kris deeply. He decides to pay Mr. Sawyer a visit and have a talk with him. He confronts Mr. Sawyer and tells him that he has no business giving psychological advice to Alfred. Mr. Sawyer is combative in his responses and stands by his diagnosis of Alfred.
I mean, I don't understand why he would say he has no business giving psychological advice when he is, in fact, a psychologist.
I think that the whole thing is that they are questioning whether he actually is one.
He considers him to be like
just
a quack, basically.
Yeah, because like I think that what he's technically supposed to do is just see. It's like they say it later that like he basically just gives intelligence tests for the employees, which you don't really have to be a psychologist for. So I think that like maybe the implication is that he's not
a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
The argument escalates with Mr. Sawyer ordering Kris to leave his office, and Kris deciding that there is only one way to handle a man like him.
Beat him on the head.
With a
umbrella.
We just went back and watched it. You were right, Toya. It was an umbrella,
right.
Which upsets me deeply. Why would it be an umbrella, not his cane? They literally called it earlier out in the movie.
Fuck yeah.
I don't get it. But
yeah, I don't know why they didn't do the cane. It's whatever.
The point still stands. Mr. Sawyer called it. It was assault with a weapon. He was right.
But then he gets hit in the head, and he's clearly fine. But then he sees Doris and Mr.
Daly.
Oh, it was
No,
Mr.
this is
Gale.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shellhammer.
You're right.
Shellhammer come, and he looks, and he's like, oh, let me make it look like I'm passed out.
Because he's a drama queen.
God.
The two approach him, slumped in his chair, and attempt to wake him up and call for a doctor.
And here's my thing. I said this to you while we watched it. Why? Because, like, later, like, they both go with him to, like, the infirmary or whatever. Why did both of them go with Mr. Sawyer? Why did not one of them go and like, find Kris, ask him his side of the story, like, figure it out? No. Why y'all gotta stick together, pull some Scooby-Doo shit, split up, gang? Like,
because
come
the matter
on.
probably would have been squashed right there, but this is a movie, and unfortunately, we need to not communicate with anyone.
Stuff like this really frustrates me in movies and TV shows. Sometimes I have trouble watching stuff that, like, is illogical that way. Because I'm like, this would never happen in real life. Because, like, in reality, people wouldn't do this. This is just purely a miscommunication. Like, this problem is caused by a miscommunication or a lack of observance or a lack of, like, conversing appropriately. Like, it just annoys me. Anyway.
I agree with you.
Mike just texted me back, my cousin's husband. I go, whiskers out or under the covers, meaning your beard. He goes, I don't exactly know what that means. When you go to sleep, do you put your beard under the blanket?
Because I asked Michael in the group chat, and his response was, I don't know what the right answer is.
There is no right answer. It's just how you sleep. But I'm telling you, Michael sleeps like a vampire, so it's out.
Yeah. Next scene, Mr. Sawyer is conscious now, and what I assume this is the doctor's office in Macy's, like they're
Sure.
Yeah. He insists that Kris attacked him out of the blue, and he is not of the right frame of mind. Mr. Shellhammer suggests that maybe he should see a competent psychiatrist, and if he passes their test, which kind of sounds like he's undermining Mr. Sawyer.
Yeah, he is.
But if he can pass their test, he can then return to work immediately, and no harm, no foul. He still hit somebody in the head, but yeah.
But it's fine.
Doris, however, has grown quite fond of Kris and can't bring herself to do that to him. She vouches that he has taken and passed dozens of exams already, and to send him out on another one would all but confirm to Kris that she, in fact, thinks he's crazy.
Yep.
So she can't do that to him. So she leaves, but Mr. Sawyer hatches a plan, I guess, with Mr. Shellhammer, but even he's not really aware.
He takes advantage of Mr. Shellhammer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a manipulative dick.
He tells Mr. Shellhammer to retrieve Kris while he's working, and Shellhammer is apprehensive about the plan, but Sawyer assures him that if he's able to get Kris outside the store, he'll explain everything to him and he'll take care of it.
This part made me so mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shellhammer pulls Santa aside and tells him that they're going to be taking some photo ops down at City Hall with the mayor. And he escorts Kris out of the building and into a car where Mr. Sawyer and two other gentlemen are waiting for him. Mr. Sawyer tells the driver to head to Bellevue, which is like, I guess, the...
It's a mental institution.
Right.
And it was not a very good one, by the way.
So Kris has been bamboozled.
And he's so upset. And then he's like, does Doris know? And freaking Sawyer over there is like, yup, she knows.
Yeah, and he's very
Rude.
disheartened to hear this.
Yeah.
So...
And he just kind of gives up.
Mm-hmm. Over at Fred's law office, he receives a call about Kris at Bellevue. The doctor on the phone recommends commitment, and Fred tells the doctor that he'll be right down to sort the matter out.
So basically what happened was, you're going a little slow for me with this part, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Basically, Kris intentionally failed his test because he was told by Sawyer that Doris knew that he was being taken there, and so he felt like really upset and he lost hope because he failed with her.
Yeah.
And so he was like, all right, fuck this, I'll just stay here.
Yeah. Well, Fred reassures him that Doris didn't know anything about the plan, and he talked to her on the phone.
And Kris is like, okay, well then let's go.
Yeah. Well, there's only one problem with that. He flunked his examination, and there's no way that they're just going to let him leave.
Yeah.
So Kris asks Fred for help, as he's a wonderful lawyer, and to get him out of there. And Fred's reluctant at first, but he agrees that he'll do anything he can to help him. So, back at Macy's now, Mr. Macy finds out what Sawyer has
Mr.
done.
Macy's pissed.
He's very mad at Mr. Sawyer, and he tells him to get Kris back here right away and to drop the whole matter.
But this is the part of the movie that confuses me, because Sawyer goes to the law office, but doesn't tell the judge, like, no, don't, like, forget it, like,
dropping.
Yeah, like, he doesn't do that. He just, like,
Yeah, so
I think that it was out of his hands. Like once he got him to Bellevue, and they were like, "Oh yeah, he failed the test. He's crazy."
Yeah,
I think like he couldn't do anything. They're like, "Well, we already got this crazy man. We can't let him out on the street."
Yeah, by that point, it turns over. This is where it gets a little confusing. It's not really Macy's versus Kris Kringle. It's now like the state of New York.
Yeah, no, I know.
Versus Kris Kringle.
I just feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he didn't even try, is my point. Like, he went down there with the intention of trying and didn't.
Yeah. Well, here we meet two more characters. We meet Judge Harper, and we meet the District Attorney Thomas Mara. Mr. Mara tells the judge that this is a pretty cut and dry case. He's just got to sign the papers. But before he can do that, Fred comes in and says that he wishes to have a formal hearing for Kris.
Yeah, he represents Kris.
Right, so Monday morning, 10 a.m., there's a formal hearing for Kris.
I thought it was funny. He just like went into the back of his head and he was like, how about Monday morning at 10 a.m.? Let's have a hearing.
Yeah, I got nothing else planned.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was like, wow, lack of cases in New York, huh?
Yeah.
So Fred got into the office before Mr. Sawyer, who's sitting out in the lobby waiting to meet with the district attorney. And when he finally does meet with the district attorney, he tells him that Mr. Macy would like the whole thing dropped and just done with. And that's when Mr. Mara says that it's no longer in their hands, and they've already started the regular routine for
Why
a
didn't
hearing.
you just say that? That's literally what my question was. I don't remember hearing Sawyer say to drop it.
Because I didn't get to it yet. It was in my notes, but I wasn't up to that yet.
Not to change the subject, but Mike just told me that he is like Kris Kringle, and he says he sleeps with his whiskers above the blankets.
That's the right answer. So.
That's what I said. I go, good, just like Kris Kringle on Miracle on 34th Street. He said, more like Jason Momoa.
Mm.
And he also said, you meant to say nicest beard as well out of everyone. Because I said, out of all the bearded men I know, you have the longest one. He wrote, you meant to say nicest beard as well.
I'm jealous of him. I can't grow my beard like his. Won't happen.
Really?
No, won't happen.
You've never tried.
It gets all curly and...
He
Do you
like
think theirs
conditions
doesn't?
Yeah, he like conditions it and combs it. He has like a whole kit for it.
Don't even bother. We've tried. I've tried giving him the kit. I've tried telling him that he needs to groom it. Dan does this thing where he goes, nah, it just grows away.
Too much,
Yeah,
much work.
I know my beard.
He's like, it won't do it, I promise. And I'm like, but you don't try. You don't even do any of the
You
steps.
think our hair does this like on its own?
Yeah.
No,
like-
I haven't shaved in a while. I'll leave this, and we'll see what happens by the next time. 2 months from now, when we record
Okay.
another episode.
Good, but you don't have to take care of it. You have to try.
All right, I'll try.
He's just telling me to shut up.
No, I really will try.
You need to like shampoo it, condition it.
Because I'd like to have a beard that long, but
I know. Then you could be a Kris Kringle
Then
in
I
your
could be.
older age.
yeah. Sawyer tracks down Fred outside and tries to persuade him to drop the case, as Mr. Macy wants to avoid all publicity that this will bring
Oh
them.
yeah, they didn't want any publicity either.
But Fred loves the idea of publicity
like,
because he
"Oh."
says if he's going to win this case, he's going to need the public opinion on his side, and
Fuck
publicity is the
yeah.
only way to do it.
And he tries to bribe him. He's like, "Oh, we'll give you a lot of money."
Yeah. Nope.
So then Judge Harper is seen meeting with his political advisor, Charlie Halloran. Charlie wants him to warns him that ruling against Santa in this case would be disastrous to his re-election
Well,
bid.
actually, he didn't even want him to take the case. He wanted him to reassign it to another judge.
Right. But his whole point is that, like, people will... I think he also just assumes, like, how would he find him, like...
Yeah.
You know, but the people won't want to root for somebody who took down Santa. They won't want to give him his vote. And even his grandchildren and his wife kind of...
Yeah, they're mad.
They're mad at him, too. All right, so this is kind of where the movie turns into, like, a courtroom movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that are just completely inaccurate of how a courtroom would actually be.
Yeah.
Like, they always say, like, My Cousin Vinny is a pretty accurate description, like, for law students. This, I imagine, they would show all the things that you cannot do.
Yeah.
This is what doesn't happen in the
Like,
courtroom.
Yeah.
you can't just, like, cross-examine a witness while another examiner is examining the
Oh, yeah.
witness.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, there's a couple.
They just, like, interject with their own questions, and I'm like, it's not your turn!
So at the courtroom now, Mr. Mara calls his first witness to the stand, and it's Kris. No opening statements, no what they intend to prove. We're just going to call somebody.
Well, it's a hearing.
Yeah, the trial didn't start yet.
That's
I don't
true.
think.
It is a hearing. Mr. Meyer only asks 3 questions. He says, what is your name? What is your address? And do you really believe you are Santa Claus? And then the state rests. That's all they have to ask. Judge Harper, trying to help Kris out, asks Mr. Gailey if he would like to cross-examine the witness, as he thinks he misunderstood the question.
And he says no.
Yeah, he thinks Kris was hired to play Santa, correct? And Kris assures the judge, no, I'm Santa. So, no help. Yeah, so Mr. Gailey opts not to question Kris. He does wish to put in a defense, though. He argues that Mr. Harper believes himself to be Mr. Harper, and nobody questions his sanity. Therefore, Kris believes himself to be Santa Claus. Why should we question his sanity? It's a very philosophical stance that he takes here. Who are any of us really, I guess he says.
I guess.
But he intends to prove that Kris Kringle is, in fact, the real Santa Claus, much to the stun of everybody watching in the courtroom.
Well, first they have to decide, is Santa real? Is this something worth proving?
Yeah.
Because
Who
is
has the
Santa
burden
real?
of proof?
So this is what I was saying, because the prosecution claimed the burden of proof is on the defense because they have to prove that he is in fact Santa Claus. But I don't really think that the burden of proof would lie there. I think that the burden of proof, the burden of proof always lies with the prosecution.
Right, they're the ones that
Because
say,
you're
no,
innocent.
you're not
Because
Santa.
you're innocent until proven guilty. You are
Yeah, so they
who
need to
you
prove
say
that
you are.
he's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of what.
That's what I kept thinking during this whole trial.
But
Here's
it's
a-
1947, so what the fuck?
Here's another unrealistic part.
We should ask Francine.
Yeah.
During Fred's... Yeah, she would have been good to have for this part. But
Yeah.
during this part where Fred says that he is in fact Santa, Judge Harper quickly says, but he isn't. All right. If this were real, Fred immediately has grounds to ask for a new hearing, as this judge has already made up his mind and said it to the whole courtroom. So that's immediately like, no, this is not. Yeah.
Also, they approach the bench
whenever they feel like it.
Whenever the fuck they feel like
they
it.
Just stand up and walk up there.
You can't just do that, okay?
There's order.
You have to ask to approach the bench or be called to the bench. You can't just walk over to the bench. Anyway.
Later that night, Fred arrives at Doris's apartment. They share a polite kiss, and I guess they're just a couple now. No dating, no big moment where they get together. They're just together. Fred tells Doris to get her coat because they're going out to celebrate.
He quit.
Yeah,
his job.
They're celebrating that it's going to trial. Doris doesn't like this one bit. She asks, "Well, clearly your job must think this is like crazy." And he said, "Yeah, they said to either drop the matter or we're letting you go." So he beat him to the punch, and he just decided to quit.
Yep. No savings, nothing.
No. And Doris even asked, like, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'll just start my own.
But he also said earlier in the movie that he wanted to start his own law firm.
Mm-hmm. He says that he'll start his own law firm, and when she asked, well, what kind of clients could you possibly get? He said, the ones like Kris.
Yeah, the ones who were bullied and pushed around. Yeah. That's what he said.
Aww, what a good guy.
So altruistic.
The two argue, and Fred leaves, and he gives Doris the advice that one day she will realize her way of facing the realistic world just doesn't work.
Yep.
That's where the micro SD card goes. I'm so sorry. I thought that this was like a stand.
No.
So that you could go like this.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, it is, but.
Okay, keep.
But wait, that is.
But there's also a slot for their micro SD card. Oh. If I wanted more storage.
That's cool.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's just funny.
I got a Nintendo Switch for my birthday, everybody, and that's what I'm playing with.
I saw you pick it up. And I was like, she's definitely gonna like dick around with this Switch right now.
Well,
and she's
it's
gonna
taking everything out of me to not just like start playing Tetris and talk about this movie because I am addicted to Tetris now.
It's okay.
But sorry, we're almost at the end anyway. We're getting through it.
I want to play Stardew Valley.
Okay, we're getting there.
Okay.
Everybody can play their games after we're done. I'm working with children here.
Listen, you play games all the time.
I know, but I can focus.
I can't.
Our attention spans are ruined by TikTok and Reels.
Need like ice pops to
I
keep
need
you on track.
I need my dopamine hit.
At Miss Samara's now, he's discussing with his wife, and she agrees with the public that he shouldn't be prosecuting Kris Kringle.
Right, but also like she sends the kid out of the room. Their son.
The kid's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Not
like,
yet, but
she's like, stop talking about this in front of the children.
Yeah. Mara even shares his frustration, even saying that he likes Kris, but it's his duty to the state to protect the state and carry out his legal responsibilities.
Why would the state ever do for you?
Yeah. Right.
Will they protect you? No.
I guess they employ him.
For now.
Yeah.
Next day at the courthouse, crowds are growing much larger. R.H. Macy takes a stand, questioned by Fred. In the middle, Fred's questioning, like we said.
He was like having these. Wait, I'll keep going.
No, he lied on the stand, but it's fine.
He lied under oath. He absolutely did.
Because he didn't want bad publicity.
Yeah.
He was like foreshadowing the headlines.
This is also where Mr. Mara just completely interrupts Fred when he's questioning Mr. Macy. He just jumps right in with his own. He even asks Mr. Macy, do you really believe that this is Santa Claus? And this is where Macy starts having visions of headlines and all the outrage. So, like the good businessman that he is, under oath he lies. And he says, of course I believe it's Santa Claus. Mr. Mara is getting more and more frustrated. He objects to the testimony and declares that Mr. Gailey is turning this into his circus. He presses the judge to make a ruling on whether there is or not a Santa Claus. Judge Harper, feeling the pressure from the public, rules for a short recess to decide. And he meets with Charlie, his advisor, and they go back and forth. And Charlie tells him that if he rules that there is no Santa, he can kiss his re-election bid goodbye.
It's true, though. Like, you're tied.
Yeah. After recess...
That would never happen today. Today they would be like, yeah, no, there's no fucking Santa Claus. Eat my ass, there's no Santa.
Eat my ass, there's no Santa. After recess, Mr. Mara asks the judge if the defense can produce any evidence that Santa is in fact real. Fred says that he can and orders Mr. Thomas Mara to take the stand.
That's
Thomas Mara Jr.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. They used these kids. They used and abused them.
He calls his 6-year-old son on the stand. This is another one. If this were real... Everything all right up there?
That was Colby. Yeah.
If this were real, Mr. Mara would have no choice but to recuse himself. from the hearing because it's his son up there. He can't possibly be impartial and cross-examine him. His son takes a stand, and Fred asks if he believes in Santa, to which Tommy says he does and points him out sitting in the courtroom. Fred asks Tommy why he is so sure that there is a Santa Claus, and he responds because...
My daddy told me so.
And you wouldn't lie, would you, Daddy?
Yeah. And that's it for the question. That's all he asks. Tommy leaves goodbye.
Bye, Daddy.
His dad is like, you were getting the belt later, young man.
No, he's not.
Mr. Mara, feeling the pressure now, concedes the existence of Santa Claus, but in doing so, they ask that Mr. Gailey stop presenting personal opinion as evidence and come up with some form of solid, concrete evidence instead. Fred admittedly is unprepared to do so, but asks for an adjournment until tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Later that night at Doris's apartment, I suppose Doris has had a change of heart. Because now she's talking with Susie, and the two discuss that unfortunately some people just don't believe that there really is Santa.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, forget everything that I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
your whole life.
Change her tune and no, that's really Santa now.
And if you can't get me the house, then you're just a nice old man with whiskers.
Susie, knowing that Kris is sad, writes Kris a letter to cheer him up. Doris, upon reading her letter, adds at the bottom of the page, I believe in you too, signed Doris.
Yep.
At the mail office... a bunch of workers are sorting. You got it.
Why is this so funny to you?
Because it's just like so.
This is the scene that made me realize that everybody in this movie is like an Italian American.
Yeah, like because that's what I'm saying.
Hey,
like
boss,
it's so.
We got another letter for Santa over here.
It's just so stereotypical. I was like, wow.
You know what they talk like? They talk like New Yorkers from like Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So the workers are sorting mail. One worker comes across Susie's letter, but he calls his manager over to show that this letter to Santa is addressed to the New York County Courthouse.
They're like, these kids these days, man. And then the manager's like, no, see, in the paper he got arrested. And they're like, oh shit, I haven't been out of here in like 5 days. Damn.
It explains the whole trial that's going on. So the coworker, the mailman, comes up with an idea. They've got all these letters from Santa that they're just responsible for every year, and rather than it being their responsibility to get rid of the letters, why don't they just send all the letters to the courthouse? It's hilarious.
Is that true? Like, what does the post office do with all the letters to Santa?
Well, they have like a program now that you can like sign up to receive a letter from
but
one of
if
the
you
kids.
just say like Santa Claus to the North Pole, what
And
do they
Macy's
do?
usually has those mailboxes in
They
stores.
But, like if you put it in like
now what the post office does is like you can sign up to be like a recipient, and so like they'll take a picture of the letters and like at
like
your
they'll scan,
and they'll scan it, and then you can like choose, and like you can fulfill the wish for the kid, but like you have to have their return address obviously, otherwise it's like not gonna work. But I've done that a couple of years and it's really cool.
Interesting.
It's cute. Yeah. At the courthouse the next day, Kris has gotten Susie's letter. Just Susie's letter, though. Nobody else's. And he's so delighted to read it. Fred tells Kris he's got some bad news. He tried to phone the governor, the mayor, anyone for help, but Kris stops him and tells him that this letter from Susie is worth more than anything to him.
I'll go to jail, or Bellevue, rather.
With my letter. Just then, an officer of the court whispers something in Fred's ear, and he promptly leaves the courtroom. So, even with the defense not in the courtroom, the prosecution just decides to give this closing statement.
They just start their day.
Somebody will catch him up to speed on what he missed.
Because even in My Cousin Vinny, that doesn't happen.
No, you can't just like start giving your closing statements while the other party's not present. No way. Fred returns, though, and declares that he does, in fact, have evidence that this is Santa Claus. His argument, he declares that the United States Post Office is an official agency of the United States government. True. It is a criminal offense to willfully misdirect mail or deliver it intentionally to the wrong party, which Mr. Mara agrees with. And he even says on the record, I agree with that statement. Mm-hmm. So,
idiot.
Yeah.
None of these people are smart. They don't think ahead.
Fred then introduces 3 letters addressed to Santa Claus with no address, and yet these letters have just been delivered to Kris by employees of the post office. Mr. Mara argues that 3 letters is hardly proof. Judge Harper agrees and asks Fred to produce more proof and put it on his desk. Fred obliges and calls in about 10 different post office workers carrying 2 sacks of mail each, who proceed to empty their sacks on Judge Harper.
You know what I noticed too? They had like at this scene I noticed they had like, did they film this like live in audience? Because there was like an audience laughing. Or was it the people in the courtroom that were laughing?
I think they just found this whole thing silly.
I thought it was supposed to be the people in the courtroom.
But the people in the courtroom I don't think were laughing, but you heard the laughter.
They just
Who's
played
laughing?
the laugh track. They played the dead laugh
That's what it
track.
It just
was.
turned into a comedy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Each letter is addressed to Santa Claus. Fred argues that the post office, an institution of the United States government, recognizes this man to be Santa Claus.
The one and only Santa Claus.
The one and only Santa Claus. Judge Harper rules that since the U.S. government recognizes this man to be Santa Claus, the court will not dispute this, and the case is dismissed.
Yep.
Kris Kringle thanks the judge and wishes him a very Merry Christmas. And
Great.
Mr.
And
Mara...
everyone just leaves
Yep.
right at that quickly. Everyone just
Well,
walks
Mr.
out.
Mara realizes he's got to do some shopping. Because it's like Christmas... It's Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Christmas Eve, and the courthouse wouldn't even be open on Christmas Eve. What are they doing? That's a holiday. Is it actually a holiday? I don't know. If the courthouse
It's not
is.
technically a
No.
holiday, but I'm sure that the court of New York does not meet on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Especially with Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
can.
got stuff to do.
He's got
Yeah.
things to do, man.
Because you're gambling. If he's not Santa, fine. But if he is Santa,
Then your kid is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
That should have been the real test. Fred should have waited a couple of days and be like, all right, well, let's see if anyone gets their presents.
Yeah.
And if nobody gets their presents, this is Santa.
That would have been a good way to prove it, honestly.
Should have held them hostage.
yeah.
Find my client innocent or no presents for your kids. Outside the courtroom, Kris meets with Doris. He tells her that he received their letter and it made him really happy to read. He then invites Doris and Susie over to Fred's for Christmas breakfast.
No, not Fred's.
No,
The home.
No, he invited them to. I thought it was.
Like
The
was Fred's.
old person home.
That was.
is that where they went?
Yeah.
It was some big house. I thought it was Mr. Macy's
Oh,
house.
see.
No, I think it's the...
Oh, we all interpreted this differently. I thought Fred finally got his house.
No.
No, Dan, and you'll understand why.
No, I understand. That's why I was confused with the ending of it a little bit.
Because
I was like,
no,
w-
that's not the house.
I thought it was Mr. Macy's house.
I
'cause
thought
it was
it-
like a mansion. It looked like a mansion.
I wouldn't have thought that Kris would have been the one inviting if that was the case. He wanted Doris to come to, like, the old person home. That's where he lived.
But he did say Fred is having a party.
At the old person home.
But this is Fred's party.
All right, get that shit back up here.
Put it
Oh
up.
my god.
All right, so Toya,
Yeah.
congrats, you were right.
Thank you.
It is in fact the Brooks home where they're having their Christmas breakfast. Everybody from Macy's is there. Dr. Pierce is also there, and Kris gives him. I think this is the X-ray machine.
Oh.
Yeah,
it
it's
looked
that
like
part
a-
I got.
It looked like. Oh, it was just there. It looked like a bike, but I couldn't really tell what it was. And I was like, is this like a horse? Like a. I don't know.
It's-
Granted,
X-ray machine.
it's a small X-ray machine, but an X-ray machine nonetheless. I guess he stopped at Macy's and picked one up. Susie is upset though, talking to Doris because even though she received
The
many,
house wasn't under the tree.
She
She-
was
the
looking
one-
for a key or a letter, she said.
the one present she really wanted didn't come. Kris talks to Susie and
I've had
assures.
Christmases like that, but then it ended up being okay.
No. You want to tell us about it? What we got?
Okay, so one year I really wanted. Do you remember Baby Born or Baby whatever?
Baby born, baby born.
That was like all I wanted.
I unlocked that in my head. I remember that.
That was all I wanted for Christmas, and I opened up all my gifts,
And it wasn't there.
and it wasn't there, and I was so upset. But like, I was a nice little kid, and I like never wanted to criticize anyone,
So you were still
even
very
Santa.
appreciative.
So I was like, okay. And then my mom was like, "Did you get everything you wanted?" And I was like, "No."
they
and they
Red Ryder BB guns you?
They did, and then behind the tree there was this fucking
Wow.
present that I didn't see, and my mom's like, "Oh my god, there's a present behind the tree. Did you miss it?" And I went, and it was the Baby Born.
Aww.
They Red Ryder BB gunned you.
They
That's
did.
so cool.
They did. It was probably my dad's idea.
That never happened to me.
That never happened to you?
No.
Did you just get everything you wanted always,
Yeah.
except the monkey?
Didn't get the monkey.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
not the monkey.
Did you always get what you wanted?
As far as I can remember, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really recall
much.
anything that like I really like was disappointed I never got.
Yeah, me neither.
Parents were pretty good.
Yeah, I can just remember getting stuff that I didn't think I would get that I actually got and freaking
Yeah.
out over it.
Yeah.
Well, Kris talks to Susie and assures her that he tried his best. Susie doubts who Santa is again. But Doris tells Susie that she was wrong to doubt Kris and that you must have faith and continue to believe in Santa. Just because things don't turn out how you hoped for the first time, you must still believe in people.
Because having faith is what common sense is believing in something when common sense tells you not to.
That's right. So as the party concludes, Fred offers to drive Susie and Doris home. Kris hands Fred a piece of paper with directions on where to go. As the three are driving, Susie spots something from the car and yells for Uncle Fred to stop the car.
Uncle Fred!
Stop! I'm watching the scene right now. I'm mute.
It's playing in real time.
I had an Uncle Fred. not in the context of this, just
I hope not.
An actual uncle named Fred.
She runs out of the car and into a house that has a for sale sign out front.
And Doris is like, Susie, what did I tell you about running into other people's homes?
Yeah, they chase her and go to retrieve her. Susie is excited, and she says that this is her house, which she's just establishing that this is my house.
This is mine. She peed on the corner.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the one she asked Santa for.
Out.
Yeah.
Then they make out.
Susie and
No, Doris.
Susie and Doris, right? She believes in Santa again, and even discovers a swing in the backyard like she hoped for.
Holy shit.
Fred and Doris share a kiss together in the house, realizing that Doris has had a change of heart too. Fred tells Doris that there is a sign outside saying for sale and that they just can't let Susie down.
Yep.
So we're gonna buy her a house.
Yep.
And they shared...
So they went from not knowing who each other was to magically dating to...
buying a house together.
Yeah, all right.
They share a kiss together, and just then they spot by the fireplace Chris's cane.
Ooh.
Doris says it must be a coincidence and left here by the previous people, and the film concludes with Fred saying, "Maybe I didn't do such a wonderful thing after all."
Which I don't really understand why he says that.
Yeah, I didn't get this
I
ending line.
didn't get that either.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the end appears and Jingle Bell plays. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't do such a wonderful thing after all.
And he looks scared.
Oh, I think I get it. I think he's saying maybe... I think he's saying maybe this wasn't his... Maybe Kris just did this. Doing such a good thing, driving them home, maybe. Like, this is actually, like, Kris's idea. Like, he's not saying, like, oh, I'm deciding to buy this house for us. Like, Kris is really, like...
But, like, Kris doesn't buy the house. And
No.
that was actually going to be the next thing I say. I was going to be like, but Santa didn't really get the house for Susie because Doris and...
But Santa
Fred.
didn't buy any of
Fred
the other
over here.
toys for the kids because Santa was telling the parents where to go buy the
Yeah,
toys.
so it's like
Santa
so
doesn't
weird.
buy
Like,
toys, Santa makes toys.
but like how does this work? So like technically Santa didn't do jack shit.
he just
He
helped.
built-
He
he built the house.
persuaded Susie's mom and to-be stepdad.
Maybe he built the house.
I'm just gonna say this.
I think he probably put the swing in the backyard.
I think
Batman.
he's not really Santa. Plot twist.
You've had him
Because
pegged
he
since he got the vice president
wrong.
He's just a crazy old buffoon, crazy old Maurice over there.
All right.
But I love this movie.
Yeah, let's do closing thoughts.
It was
on this.
cute. No, I like the movie. I've liked it my whole life. But
Yeah,
as an adult, there's some loopholes here.
there is. It's not a perfect movie. I think the movie, like I kind of said earlier, it like lives and dies with Edmund Gwenn as Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
The first 2/3 of this movie, I like it a lot. It's
Yeah.
a typical Christmas movie. It's really happy.
The
it's
court
believing.
scenes were a little hard.
When it transitions into a court movie and like Fred kind of takes over, I think it kind of goes down a little bit in quality.
Yeah.
Both in the
Needed Jimmy
believability
Stewart.
and even Santa just kind of takes a back seat. He doesn't really have many lines. He's not really a focus. And I think it kind of dies off there. But I still like it. I think it's definitely a very fitting Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I think now that this one came out in the 40s, there's probably people who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And
Like me.
Yeah, and I think it definitely is a good movie to watch around the holiday
I
season.
was very pleasantly surprised by like the acting for
Yeah.
that and like
Yeah.
the filmmaking for that, even though it wasn't in color. And what else did I just want to say? Oh crap, I forgot.
I was surprised that Alex has seen it and you haven't.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I did not watch a lot of movies like
Yeah.
as a kid at all.
It has its things that you could point to. Like,
Yeah.
Fred and Doris's relationship is kind of inconsistent throughout the movie. They're just kind of
it's weird.
together. Doris, her mindset kind of jumps back and forth and
Yeah.
between believing and not believing.
Yeah.
The courtroom stuff we talked about. But it's a Christmas movie. It wasn't intended to be like this masterpiece, this like Gone with the Wind type movie where everything is. It's a feel good movie to watch over the holidays for years and years to come, which I think it does a good job.
Yeah, Doris's relationship wasn't like a storyline in the movie. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody would agree that the Wind is a masterpiece, but
I just use it as an example,
I'm
but
just
you
saying.
you know what I'm saying.
like Hillary's never even seen it.
My point is that even though it won some Oscars, I don't think it was like it's not measured on it being an Oscar film.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And it holds up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say thumbs up.
I liked it. I like this movie. I think that out of all the Christmas movies, it's probably not my first pick to watch.
I agree with that.
Like, I wouldn't watch it necessarily every year, but I would watch it every couple years.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. I think this was a nice break from the animated movies that we've been watching
That's what
lately.
I was gonna say. Even though it's technically now owned by Disney, and I can't pinpoint it, but I could tell the difference between this movie versus like Walt Disney's movies.
Yeah.
What
Didn't
we've seen
have-
from live action from them so far.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
You mean the better quality? Yeah.
Kume, kume, kume. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
The lack of cultural appropriation? Yeah.
Yeah. It was just. It's more. Yeah. I don't even. I really can't even like specifically say what makes it different than any like Disney movie, but you could just. It just has a different feeling.
I think, I mean, I don't know if you would agree, but for me, I feel like a lot of the Disney movies, like the live action ones that we've seen, still, they're live action, but they're marketed. You could tell that they're made for children.
Yeah.
They're not made for adults, whereas I feel like this movie's made for everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something too, is that like for everybody, like the kids, obviously all this stuff with Santa, but like I imagine if you're a kid and it gets to the courtroom stuff,
Yeah,
you're
you're
probably
like,
like,
what
what
the
is
hell?
going on?
Yeah.
Even as an adult, I'm like, what?
Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I was worried about reviewing this because I was like, it's not really Disney. Should we even bother with it? Should we move on to something else? But I think it was actually nice to
Yeah.
kind of sprinkle it in.
It was
there.
a nice movie to watch.
Yeah.